Our hero today was part of Costec and Boone Hub. So, as I said, we do promotion and coordination, but also part of the promotion, we do funding. We provide funding to support research and then now innovation. And the funding usually comes from the government as well as partners. Asante.
You guys are both leader. You're a leader in the private sector. You're running an enterprise, and Daktari Mkurugenzi is a leader from public institutions. They're setting strategies and policies. What is the role of enterprises in all that is happening? What should we expect them to do to prepare for the future?
What is our role, enterprise? I think what I touched on in the discussion, which is, I think enterprise needs to focus on innovation. I think enterprise, to the extent that enterprises are in a position to address the pain points that consumers are facing, I think we need to focus on those. I also think that enterprise in general needs to, like I said, it goes back to competition and cooperation. You cooperate in order to open the ecosystem, to create value for consumers, and then you compete based on how you can provide that value. So I think it comes down really to that. That's my sense.
Great. Daktari, back to you. We've seen all it from the morning up to right now. So what do you think? First, your general perception from what you've seen, but also what do you think is the role of the government in all this?
What I've seen, I mean, it goes down to cooperation and the collaborations, because the government, it has a role to put down the conducive environment for all this to happen. And that's what we've been doing. But now coming back to innovation, which is disruptive, sometimes we have the rules, the road regulations, but the innovation, some of them, they are just coming up. They find we don't have those environment in place. So through innovation, I mean, collaboration and cooperation, then we smooth the environment for the innovation to flourish. That's why, to me, the key is collaboration and cooperation.
One of the most complex things is to bring these things into context, into our own language, into our own way of doing things, so that they make sense to our people without leaving anyone behind. There's that perception in Africa that these future things are more of the top class, soft issues, and they're not touching the layer at the bottom, especially grassroots communities, to people to it most matter the most. What is your perception on this? And if that is the case, how do we ensure this transformation and what is happening to actually impacting everyone?
My response to that is, I think there are initiatives that are reaching the mass market. I think there are others that could. In terms of what we can do to make sure that we are focusing on that, I think you need to go back to the pain points. I mean, you need to look at what are the actual problems. So for example, if we take, for example, the cash economy, right? In a place like Tanzania, still probably 90% of transactions are in cash. So cash has its own value. You know, it's it's anonymous. It doesn't require a network. It doesn't fail. It's you know, commonly understood. It's very quick to transact. So those are all values of cash. Now, if you want to reach the mass market, you have to understand, why are they not using mobile money at those point of sale transactions? And the information is there. There's no reason, there's no question about it. The question is, what are you doing to actually solve those pain points, right? So I think it's really incumbent upon the enterprises to go into the market, try to understand what are the reasons for that, or what are the incentives they can provide that would drive adoption, okay? And then build according to those realities. I think the worst thing to do is create technology that is looking for a problem, right? And we see that a lot, and most of those businesses fail. So actually, businesses are not technology or non-technology businesses, they should be solution businesses. What are you solving? And even if you were to look at interviews of Jeff Bezos back in the late 90s, he would say, we're not a technology company. We're just trying to get people products when they want them. Okay, and he's using technology to do that. So I think the framing of it should be around the solution, to identification of the problem and then the solution, and then the technology should be the enabler of it.
Wow, thank you so much. Back to you, Dr. Nungu.
Her Excellence has already declared that technology should be in the forefront, especially we're expecting to provide jobs to at least 8 million youth, and technology should be the forefront for doing that one. And you see we have the new ministry specifically for ICT, because one of the things is you want to have the access, because if we are rolling out new technologies, new innovations, but the rural, how are they benefiting? How are they be part of these new innovations? So the ICT ministry is specifically now rolling out the national broadband, to have that access, connecting the unconnected now, but also, as I said, cooperation and the collaborations that, as the Firas put it, they had a solution, but they have to work on mind change for the people to be able to use or to adapt the technology. So it is the same. The government can put in the conducive environment, but then are we seeing the same picture? That's what I said. Everybody has to play a role, because you have seen we have started. COSTECH and the State Commission was pushing to have the sandbox, and TCRA 3 months ago they enabled to provide that conducive environment, that any innovator who wants services to test their innovations, the services which are available at the TCRA, if they have an endorsement from COSTECH, then they will have a specified period for the testing time. Of course, it was not announced in the news, but TCRA started it. Today we have NMB coming up that we are opening the environment. 3 weeks ago, we had a discussion and a meeting and a work basically with the ICT Commission, trying to put down some sort of a framework, trying to ask all the service providers that can you open up your platforms, because you are the service providers. So these youngsters, they have innovations, but some of them, they need to test their solutions before you start charging them or restricting them or giving them the license and whatever. So it is a good move, but as I said, it is a concerted effort, because if TCRA has opened it, NMB has done, but now I would like to see APSA here, they're doing the same, because sometimes, as I see it, the innovators, if they test a product and it is working with your service, then you are the one who are going to benefit more, because the customers will be connected now to your service. Yeah, so that's why I urge everybody to see the same thing the government is seeing, but also we are open to be educated sometimes, because maybe the technology is moving faster than us, because usually always the regulations and the policies, they go not at par with the speed of change. So sometimes having the dialogue, for example, we're having a dialogue with the Tanzania Startup Association on how to kind of moderate the environment where we don't have the policies yet. Yeah, so we are open and engaging. By the way, I think it was UNDP representative who noted that we had 2 successful programs before. We have Tanzania ICT, which resulted into Buni Innovation Hub. Those days there was only Buni and Kinu. So now we have transformed Buni into a hub of hubs, because through Buni, many hubs have evolved, and you can find 80% of those champions in those hubs, they were a product of Buni. The same with the DTBI. So we are kind of evolving as well, but sometimes we can't evolve to the same speed as the private sector is moving. That's why we're always open to discuss, to engage, and see how can we make the environment even better. Yeah, for the ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So because of time, Firas, what's your parting words?
Parting words might be around thinking about what it takes to move beyond what we're used to, how to imagine something that's maybe not there in front of you right now. I think the hardest thing for business to do is to, I mean, incremental change is fairly straightforward. You know, you add a service on top of the service that you're already providing. It's not a hard thing, right? Because you don't have to do a lot of work. It's just simply a tweak, right? But fundamental changes are much more difficult, right? Because then you have to really assess, okay, is this going to eat into my existing revenue? Am I going to cannibalize some of these customers? But we know that that future is there. So I think if you just take a look around the world, you can see where Tanzania or East or Sub-Saharan Africa is headed. So I think it's going to take some courage on the part of the enterprises to attempt to move in that direction. That might be difficult to do so given where they're making money right now.
Thank you. Dr. Nungu, any parting words?
Yeah, any parting words is it, I mean, to encourage the partners in the ecosystem to engage the government. Sometimes we might take time to respond because we have to balance, because on partly we are protecting for the consumers, it is our duty, but engage. That is my parting words, because we are listening and we want to reimagine the future together, because also it is our role to provide that conducive environment, also to compete in that global market. As we said, I mean, 2100 years, 75 million people, we have to be there. Yeah. So please engage.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.